I wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about the service bundle that I just launched on Friday and just shared on social media today. I give you a little sneak peek into these guides and then talk a little bit about what the heck it is and why it might help you. So if you are studying for the service portion of an exam, obviously you don't need note cards. They're not going to do jack, right? You need to either be in that environment or kind of create that environment. So when I was working in restaurants, I worked at a tasting menu restaurant, and people would get wine pairings with each of their courses. And so they hardly ever ordered bottles of sparkling wine. So I really didn't get the practice at work. I had to create it at home. And so I created a number of documents that would help me practice at home. And I had a less than 1 year old and 2 year old, at the very young kids at the time. And I would just practice with my husband at the table. Letting the situation, just letting them be the distractions, natural distractions, and trying to get through the service portion. And I created a checklist for my husband to make sure that I was going through each of the steps the right way. I created a series of questions that they were going to ask so he could pick and choose and rattle those off as I was going through the motions. I created a cocktail grid and a spirits guide and a number of different visual guides to help me kind of ingrain things in my head that I knew I wanted to suggest. And that was incredibly valuable, and it truly helped me pass that portion of the exam. And I recently worked with a good friend of mine and gave her these materials, and they were really valuable to her as well. So I've finally sharing all of these documents. They are available on my website and you can go check them out, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into each of these guides. Okay, steps of service checklist. So these are all the steps that you want to know as you're running through the service process. Here are 150 exam requests. These are some things that they could ask at the table that you can have somebody pick and choose and rattle off to you as you're going through the motions. Service recommendations. So this is going to help you create a memory beverage list of service recommendations. So your own personal menu. There's space under each variety to fill in a producer of your choice. And there's also a suggested one, but there's something for every variety. And then also something for fortified wines and cordials and spirits and cocktails. So you can have something in your memory bank. Guide to tête de cuvées. These are obviously very important. So the house, the prestige cuvée, the style of wine, current vintage recommendations for each of them. And then some practice sheets, because you need practice filling those in to make sure you got them. Spirits guide. So this talks about all the different spirits, the kind of rules of what makes them, what they are. And then recommendations for each of them, some of the tops. And that is for vodka, gin, rum, whiskey, eau de vie, and tequila and cordials. Then I created a cocktail grid. So these are top 6 cocktails for each spirit. And I had them on a grid so that I could visually memorize them. I would pick 2 to suggest. And then also the recipes are there because a lot of times they'll ask you what's in them. And then there's some blank ones for practice.